She gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary. Maya had only been on patrol for 3 weeks, just 3, and now she was being partnered with him. Bruno, 7 years old, retired, gray around the muzzle and eyes that had seen too much. They told her he was one of the best. Sniffed out over a dozen live bombs. Saved countless lives overseas and in the city. But now, he looked like he belonged on a couch, not in the back seat of a cruiser. As she glanced in the rearview mirror, Bruno stared back. Silent, still, and clearly unimpressed. "Don't look at me like that," Maya muttered. "I didn't ask for this either." She hadn't. Her assigned K9 was still in training. Bruno was just a backup, a favor, temporary. But when the radio call came in, everything changed. Unit 3 to 9, possible threat at Jefferson High. Caller reported suspicious bag near gym entrance. Requesting K9 support. Maya's fingers froze above the dashboard. Jefferson High, her old school. Kids still inside. Dispatch followed up quick. No confirmed threat. Protocol only. But send K9 unit anyway. They could have waited. Could have called in someone more experienced. But the school was only 5 minutes away. Maya swallowed her nerves. "This is Officer Maya, Unit 3 to 9. I'm responding. I've got K9 on board." Bruno shifted behind her, ears alert. He knew. The cruiser lights flashed red and blue as they turned down the familiar street. Maya's pulse drummed in her ears. "Stay in the car," she told him once they parked. But Bruno didn't budge. The school looked calm. Just a few patrol cars and a nervous janitor waving near the gym doors. "I saw it near the bleachers," the janitor said. "No one else noticed. But, I don't know, something felt wrong." Maya nodded, scanning the area. "Okay, I'll take a look." But Bruno jumped down from the cruiser before she could stop him. "Bruno! Hey!" she called. The dog ignored her. Trotted forward like he'd done this 100 times, which, of course, he had. An officer chuckled nearby. "Looks like he remembers how this works." Maya ran to catch up. Bruno's nose was already down. Tail stiff, scanning. Searching. He passed the trash cans, paused near the gym wall, then veered left. Maya stayed close. "Don't go far, boy." Suddenly, Bruno froze. His head snapped toward the bleachers. He moved fast. Too fast for his age. "What is it?" Maya whispered, jogging to keep up. Bruno stopped at the base of the bleachers. Sniffed. Growled. There was a duffel bag. Just sitting there. No name. No tag. Maya's stomach dropped. "Bruno, sit," she ordered, voice trembling. He sat, eyes locked on the bag. Her radio crackled. "What do you see?" "A duffel bag," Maya replied. "Unattended. K9's showing signs." "Copy. Evacuate area. Bomb squad en route." But Bruno didn't wait for orders. He edged closer, careful, cautious. Maya wanted to shout. "Stop!" But something in his focus kept her still. She remembered what the captain had said. "If Bruno sits and stays, you listen to him. He knows more than we do." Seconds stretched. The air felt thick. Then Bruno turned back to her. Gave one short bark. Maya's breath hitched. "What is it?" she asked softly. She moved forward. Slowly, heart pounding. Bruno sat still, guarding the bag. From the side pocket something stuck out, a lunchbox. She reached in, careful, and unzipped it. Just food. Sandwiches. Juice box. She checked the main compartment next. Clothes, a soccer ball, some books. No threat. False alarm. She exhaled hard and dropped to one knee beside Bruno. "It's okay," she whispered, ruffling his fur. "It's okay, buddy." He didn't wag. Didn't move. Just stared ahead, alert. "He's not playing games," someone said behind her. It was the sergeant. Even after retirement, he still takes it serious. Maya nodded slowly. He did his job. Back at the cruiser, Bruno jumped in without hesitation this time. No attitude. She got in beside him, looked over. "Thanks for not letting me mess that up," she said. "I wasn't ready. But you were." Bruno blinked once, then yawned. Maybe it was the adrenaline crash. Or maybe it was the way the old dog had stepped in like an old soldier called back to duty. But Maya realized something right then. This wasn't just a backup. Not just a retired K9 tagging along. This was a partner. And whether she liked it or not, she needed him. "Guess we're stuck with each other?" she murmured, pulling out of the school lot. Bruno lay down, head resting on his paws. But for the first time, Maya swore she saw it, the faintest tail wag. Just once. But enough. The cruiser rolled up to Ridgewood Elementary just after 10 a.m. The sky was overcast, the kind that made the world feel a little heavier. Kids had already been evacuated to the playground. Teachers stood with clipboards and nervous eyes. It looked like every other false alarm Maya had responded to lately. Bruno sat in the back seat, calm but alert, watching the school entrance like he knew something Maya didn't. "This is probably just some kid's forgotten lunch," Maya said, stepping out and tightening her vest. $10 says it's bologna and juice." Bruno hopped out beside her. His pace was steady but slower than last time, careful. Measured. Like every step had weight. They were met at the door by Principal Harris, who looked more annoyed than scared. "One of our janitors found it during his rounds. Unlabeled lunchbox, just sitting in the hallway near the science wing. Probably nothing, but district policy says we call it in." "Where exactly?" Maya asked. "Right by the lockers near room 14. No one's touched it." Maya gave a short nod. "We'll take a look." Bruno walked a few paces ahead as they entered the empty school. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above them. Every footstep echoed down the tiled hallway. The smell of pencil shavings and sanitizer hung in the air. "Doesn't feel dangerous?" Maya muttered half to herself. But Bruno's ears twitched. His body stiffened. They turned the corner into the science wing. Lockers lined both sides of the hallway. A red lunchbox sat in the middle of the floor like someone had placed it there on purpose. Maya raised an eyebrow. "There it is." Bruno didn't move. "Go on," she whispered, encouraging him. He took one step, then stopped cold. And then he barked. Once. Loud. Deep. The kind of bark that echoed off the lockers and made Maya's heart slam into her ribs. The kind of bark that silenced a room. Maya froze. "Bruno," he growled low and steady. She grabbed her radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Maya at Ridgewood Elementary. K9 has alerted on a suspicious object. Requesting immediate bomb squad support." "Copy that. Units en route. ETA 15 minutes. Evacuate to safe perimeter." Maya's hands shook slightly as she stepped back, never turning her eyes from Bruno. He sat, locked onto the lunchbox, body tense, tail still. This wasn't a drill. "Bruno, stay," she said firmly. He didn't even blink. The hallway felt colder now, like the air itself had dropped a few degrees. She moved fast, retracing her steps toward the front doors. Principal Harris met her halfway. "Was it?" "We need to clear farther out," Maya interrupted. "He's never barked like that before." Bruno remained behind, alone in the hallway, watching the box, not moving. As the bomb squad pulled in minutes later, suited and slow, Maya briefed them quickly. "Retired K9 but reliable." He barked and locked up instantly. "That's more than he did last time at the high school." The tech nodded. "We'll take it seriously." She stood outside with the teachers and kids, eyes glued to the front entrance, praying it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. Not this time. The bomb squad emerged 20 minutes later, holding the lunchbox in a sealed container. The lead tech walked over, removing his helmet. There were wires inside. Basic setup. Homemade. Wouldn't have killed anyone, but it could have burned a classroom. Maya felt her knees weaken. "You're kidding." He shook his head. "Your dog just saved this school." She turned toward the cruiser. Bruno sat inside now, watching through the glass. She opened the door. "You did good, boy," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "You did really good." Bruno licked her hand once, then looked away like it was just another Tuesday. Principal Harris approached, stunned. "We would have ignored it if that dog hadn't." "He's not just a dog," Maya said quietly. "He's a soldier." Word spread fast. The staff wanted to meet the hero dog. Some of the kids even made signs that read, "Thank you, Bruno." But Bruno didn't care for fanfare. He just wanted his seat in the cruiser and a quiet ride home. As they pulled away, Maya glanced at him. "You knew," she said, "before anyone else. You always know." Bruno didn't respond, but his eyes stayed locked on the road ahead. Maya tapped the steering wheel, her mind racing. 2 calls in 1 week. Both with Bruno. Both real. This wasn't luck. This was something else. And as they drove toward the precinct, another call crackled over the radio. Unit 3 to 9. Respond to a code 42. Child missing in Mill Creek Woods. K9 requested. Maya looked over at Bruno. He was already sitting up, ready. And she knew so was she. Sirens howled in the distance, growing louder by the second. Maya crouched beside Bruno, her hand gripped tight around his collar. He was still, except for the low growl rumbling in his throat. Deep, steady, never breaking focus from the lunchbox lying dead center in the hallway. Behind them, children sobbed into sleeves and teachers whispered hurried reassurances. They didn't believe themselves. "It's just a lunch," someone said again. "It has to be." But Bruno didn't think so. And Maya had learned one thing since riding with him: you listen to Bruno. The hallway buzzed with tension. It felt like the whole building was holding its breath. Then came the voice on the radio. "Bomb squad on site. Hold perimeter." Maya stood up slowly, whispering to Bruno, "Stay." His tail thumped once in response. Not happy, not excited, more like understood. Heavy boots pounded into the hallway. 3 techs, suited head to toe in blast gear, pushed past her. One gave a small nod. "K9 alert?" "Twice," she replied. Deep bark. Locked in position. "Good enough for us." They moved in silence. One crouched low with a small mirror on a pole, angling it toward the lunchbox. Another held a scanner. The third stood ready with a containment case. Maya stepped back toward the lockers, her eyes flicking between Bruno and the bomb techs. Everything felt too slow. Or maybe time was just stretching, threatening to snap. The first tech's voice cracked over the radio. "We've got wires." Gasps echoed down the hallway. A teacher broke into tears behind Maya. She stayed still, steadying her voice. "Any timer?" "Negative. Doesn't look armed. Basic build. Probably a scare tactic." Maya looked down at Bruno. He hadn't moved. They called it a scare tactic. Bruno had called it danger. And danger was enough. The lunchbox was sealed, contained, and carried out the front doors like some sleeping snake. The school principal came over, pale and shaken. "It could have gone off? It could have burned a room," Maya said. "Could have hurt someone." She looked back at Bruno. "But he made sure it didn't." The principal stared at the dog in disbelief. "I thought he was retired." Maya gave a tired smile. So did he. Outside, the kids were still crying. One little boy stood away from the group, clutching a paper sign with a scribbled drawing of a German shepherd. He looked up at Maya. "Is your dog gonna be okay?" She knelt beside him. "He already is. Because of him, you're okay." The boy reached out a shaky hand. "Can I pet him?" Maya looked at Bruno. "What do you think?" Bruno stood, stretched his stiff legs, and stepped forward gently. The boy touched his fur and whispered, "Thank you, Bruno." Bruno leaned in just slightly. It was the softest moment of the day. Later, as the school returned to order and the scene was cleared, Maya loaded Bruno back into the cruiser. He lay down immediately, tired but alert. She sat in the driver's seat and exhaled hard. "That could have gone sideways," she said. "But you were right." Bruno closed his eyes, tail brushing the seat once. The radio crackled. "Unit 3 to 9, we've got a code 42. Missing child. Mill Creek Woods. Possible search and rescue. Requesting K9 assistance." Maya looked into the mirror. Bruno was already up. Eyes sharp. Head high. "No rest for the good ones," she said, flipping on the lights. As the cruiser peeled away from Ridgewood Elementary, Maya's grip on the wheel tightened. This wasn't just another call. Felt different. Something in her gut said this one wasn't going to be easy. And Bruno? He sat forward, ears perked. Ready. They weren't just partners anymore. They were a team. And somewhere out in the woods, a child was waiting. The playground was nearly empty now. Yellow tape flapped weakly in the wind. Kids had been sent home, teachers questioned, and bomb squad cleared the scene. But one child hadn't been found. Emily Harper, 6 years old. Tiny. Brown hair in 2 braids. Last seen heading to the nurse's office before recess. She never came back. Maya stood at the front entrance, flipping through a clipboard when a silver SUV screeched into the lot. A woman burst out, eyes wild. "Emily!" she shouted. "Where's my daughter?" Maya moved quickly. "Ma'am, please." "She's 6, the woman cried. "She has a peanut allergy. If she eats the wrong thing, her throat could close in minutes. You have to find her." Maya's chest tightened. What did she have with her? Backpack? Jacket? A pink jacket. Unicorn patch on the back, the mom said, shaking. And a lunchbox, but she left it at home today. I swear. She wasn't carrying food. Maya turned to the secretary. "You said she went to the nurse?" The woman nodded. "She signed in. But I stepped out to help a kid with a scraped knee. When I came back, she was gone. I thought she'd gone back to class." Panic started to set in. And that's when Bruno started pacing. His nose twitched. He sniffed the air, then the sidewalk. He turned, ears perked. "Bruno?" Maya asked. He let out a low, urgent whine, then tugged, hard, toward the east wing. Maya didn't hesitate. "He's on something." Bruno trotted ahead, sniffing fast now, pulling toward the side building near the maintenance shed. His whole body was working, nose close to the ground, tail stiff, focused. They passed 2 empty classrooms, then rounded a corner behind the building. Dumpsters, cleaning carts, a broken tricycle. Bruno slowed, sniffed, then barked. Once, not loud but sharp, focused. Maya's heart raced. "Emily?" No answer. Bruno sniffed around a gap between the wall and the shed. The space was narrow, too narrow for Maya to crawl through. Then a cough, faint, dry. Maya dropped to her knees. "Emily? Can you hear me, sweetie?" A weak voice. "It hurts to breathe." Bruno barked again, this time louder, tail wagging. "She's here," Maya shouted back toward the building. "Call EMS now. She's having a reaction." Emily was curled up behind the shed, clutching her stomach, eyes puffy and red. Her unicorn jacket was smeared with dirt. "I just wanted a cookie," she whispered. There were snacks in the teacher's lounge, and I was hungry. Her lips were swelling. Maya didn't wait. She kicked the gate open, reached in, scooped Emily into her arms. "You're gonna be okay. Just hang on. Okay?" Bruno ran beside her, barking as if clearing the way. Maya reached the front lot just as paramedics arrived. They moved fast. Epinephrine, oxygen, vitals. "She's lucky," one medic said. "Another 5 minutes." The words hung there, unfinished. Emily's mother sobbed, hugging Maya, then turning to Bruno. "He found her? He found my baby?" Maya nodded. He didn't even hesitate. The medics loaded Emily up, and the ambulance rolled out. Bruno sat quietly, watching it disappear down the road. "You knew," Maya whispered, kneeling beside him. "You knew where she was. You saved her." Bruno leaned into her shoulder, just slightly. It was the most affection he'd shown all day. Later, after the scene calmed and paperwork was filed, Maya and Bruno sat alone in the cruiser. The sun was starting to dip, painting long shadows across the dashboard. "2 saves in 1 day," Maya said softly. "You keep this up, they'll unretire you permanently." Bruno gave a small huff through his nose. But then something odd. He sat up, ears perked, eyes narrowing toward the radio. The silence broke. "All units, code 45. Possible animal cruelty case in Southridge. Witness reports sounds from a locked basement. Requesting K9. Maya looked at Bruno. He was already standing. Alert. She reached for the ignition. Let's go, partner. Someone else needs you now. Bruno's claws scraped the gym floor as he pulled Maya past the empty bleachers. His nose was low, movements frantic. He was tracking something, no, someone. Emily? Maya called out, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. No answer. Bruno stopped cold in front of a supply closet door. He barked, loud, sharp, then scratched furiously at the bottom. Maya's stomach dropped. She twisted the handle. Locked. Emily, are you in there? No reply, then the faintest sound. A wheeze. Bruno barked again, pawing harder, as if begging Maya to hurry. She's in there, Maya shouted. She stepped back and kicked. Once, twice. The wood cracked. Third time, the door burst open. And there she was, Emily, curled up in the corner of the dark closet, pale as paper, tiny hands clutching her throat. One half-eaten peanut butter sandwich lay beside her. Maya rushed in. She can't breathe, she screamed into her radio. Child found. Severe allergic reaction. Need EMS now. She scooped Emily up. The girl's lips were blue. Her eyes fluttered open for half a second, then rolled back. Bruno whined low and stayed close, as if guarding her body with his. She needs epinephrine, Maya yelled, bursting out of the gym. The front doors flew open just as medics ran inside. Maya didn't stop moving. She passed Emily into their arms mid-stride. She was locked in, Maya said, panting. Someone swapped her sandwich. She's allergic. The EMTs moved like lightning, auto-injector, oxygen mask, vitals. One of them turned to Maya after a tense minute. She's breathing shallow but stable. If you hadn't found her when you did. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Emily's mother stood nearby, shaking, face soaked with tears. When she saw her daughter blinking slowly, she collapsed to her knees. I thought I lost her, she sobbed. I thought. You didn't, Maya said softly. Because of him. She nodded toward Bruno. The old dog sat calmly near the gym entrance. Dirt on his paws. Dust in his fur. But those amber eyes? Still sharp. Still locked on the girl. The mom crawled forward, trembling hands reaching out. Thank you. Thank you, she whispered, hugging the dog around the neck. You saved my baby. Bruno didn't move. Didn't wag. He just let her cry against his chest. When it was over, when the ambulance rolled away with sirens low and Emily tucked safely inside, Maya leaned against the cruiser door. Bruno climbed into the back seat without a sound. She followed, sliding into the driver's seat, hands still shaking. Someone locked her in, Maya muttered, more to herself than anyone. This wasn't just a lunch mix-up. Bruno lifted his head. She met his eyes in the mirror. Something's not right, she said. Before she could think more, the radio lit up. All units. Code 45, possible animal abuse in South Ridge. Distress sounds reported in basement. Requesting K-9 support. Bruno didn't wait. He stood up, ears high, gaze fixed forward. Maya turned the key. We're not done yet, are we? She whispered, and they sped into the darkening day. The sirens cut through the air like blades. Maya waved the paramedics inside, shouting over the noise. She's going into anaphylaxis. She needs epinephrine now. Her throat's closing. Two medics rushed forward with a stretcher. Emily's tiny frame looked even smaller as they laid her down. Her face was ghost white, lips swollen and tinged blue. Her chest rose in shallow, desperate jerks. Where's her EpiPen? One medic asked. She had one, Maya said, panicked. It should have been in her backpack. They tore through the pink unicorn backpack someone had retrieved from the nurse's office, and froze. One held up the injector. It's empty. Someone already used it. No, Maya said quickly. No, she didn't. She didn't use it. The medic inspected it. Seal's broken. This wasn't just used. It was tampered with. Maya's eyes went cold. Someone sabotaged it? He gave a grim nod. Looks that way. Maya clenched her fists. Her voice dropped. This wasn't random. The medics injected a backup dose and put Emily on oxygen. Her chest began to rise more steadily, but her eyelids barely fluttered. "Vitals are stabilizing," one of them murmured. "We got to her just in time." Beside the stretcher, Bruno let out a low, mournful whine. He hadn't moved since she was found, hadn't left her side for a second. Not when she was wheezing, not when she was lifted onto the gurney, not when the medics started their work. And now? He sat quietly at her side, head bowed, eyes locked on her pale face. "I've never seen that before," one paramedic whispered. "A dog just sitting like that." "He's not just a dog," Maya said. "He's her guardian now." The gurney wheels clicked against the pavement as they rolled Emily out. Bruno followed, slow and steady, refusing to leave her. At the ambulance doors, Maya knelt down and gently took his collar. "Bruno," she whispered, "you did your job. You found her. You saved her." But Bruno didn't budge. He placed a single paw on the edge of the gurney, as if to say, "She's not safe yet." The medic hesitated. "He can ride with us. Front seat." Maya nodded, watching him climb in. She closed the door, then turned toward the school. And now something inside her changed. This wasn't a case of a lost kid or a medical scare. This was deliberate. Someone had replaced a child's sandwich. Someone had emptied her emergency injector. Someone had locked her in a closet. This wasn't an accident. It was a message. And as Maya stared at the nurse's office door, her instincts lit up like fire. The janitor had said he saw no one. The nurse had stepped away. Too many holes. Too much silence. Her radio crackled again. "Detective Barnes here. I'm at South Ridge address. K9 requested immediately. Locked basement." Loud barking heard inside. South Ridge. That was the next call. But Maya felt it in her bones. Whatever had just happened at Ridgewood, it wasn't over. And as she slid into the cruiser and started the engine, she made herself a promise. She'd find out who hurt Emily, and she wouldn't be alone. Bruno would be right there every step of the way. The small surveillance room at Ridgewood Elementary smelled like dust and burnt coffee. A grainy monitor flickered in front of Maya, its timestamp locked at 10:47 a.m., about 20 minutes before the lunchbox was found and the evacuation began. A security guard rewound the footage, sweat beading on his forehead. "Here," he said, pointing. "That's the east hallway by the lockers." Maya leaned in. The footage showed rows of lockers, empty, quiet, and then a hooded figure slipped into frame. Quick, intentional, moving with purpose. They crouched near one locker, then moved down the hall, glancing back twice. No hesitation. Bruno, lying nearby, suddenly sat up. His ears perked. Maya noticed. "You hear that?" she whispered. "You recognize that sound?" The figure on screen reached into their coat pocket, pulled something out, a red lunchbox. They placed it near the corner locker, the exact spot Bruno had barked at hours ago. The timestamp, 10:49 a.m. Maya narrowed her eyes. That's not a student. The figure was taller, broader, shoulders hunched, like they were trying to shrink themselves. But the way they moved, fast, confident, it didn't scream teenager. It screamed inside job. She zoomed in, trying to catch the face. The hood dipped low, obscuring it. But as the person turned, the edge of their badge lanyard caught the light. There it was, plain as day. A Ridgewood staff ID. Maya's heart slammed in her chest. "Pause it." The guard hit the spacebar. She pointed to the faint glint on the lanyard. "Zoom there." It wasn't fully readable, but part of the name tag was just clear enough. One word stood out, staff, and then a glimpse of the face. Older, mid-30s maybe, pale, tired eyes. Familiar. Maya stared harder, her stomach twisting. She'd seen that face before. Not in the classroom. Not in the halls. In the nurse's office. Her eyes widened. No, it can't be. She stood up fast. Rewind again. Watch their path. The footage showed the hooded figure slipping past the east wing, ducking behind a janitor's cart, then heading into the side building. the same direction Bruno had pulled her earlier. Her blood ran cold. "This wasn't random," Maya whispered. "This was planned." Bruno barked once, sharp and quick, almost like confirmation. She grabbed her radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Maya. I need a background check on all Ridgewood staff members, specifically nurse and custodial staff. Cross-check with any past disciplinary action or sealed juvenile records. Send directly to my mobile." "Copy that." She turned to Bruno, who was already pacing again. He knew. They both did. Someone at the school, someone trusted, had tried to hurt a child. And not just hurt. Kill. Her phone buzzed 30 seconds later. One match. Daniel Crow. Part-time substitute nurse. Temporary hire. Prior warning for inappropriate behavior at another school. But case was dismissed. Juvenile record sealed. Left shift early today. Maya whispered the name. Daniel. The photo confirmed it. It was him. She turned to Bruno. "We're going after him." Bruno's ears stood tall. And then another voice cracked through the radio. "Unit 3 to 9, you still en route to South Ridge? We've got barking coming from a locked basement. Address matches a known alias, Daniel Crow." Maya's heart stopped. It was all connected. Everything. The bomb scare. Emily's poisoning. The missing EpiPen. And now a house with a basement. A locked one. Maya bolted for the cruiser. Bruno was already in the back. Ready, eyes burning with focus. She hit the siren and gunned the engine. This wasn't just a case anymore. This was a hunt. And the shadow hiding behind school doors was about to meet the one thing he didn't count on. A retired K-9 who never quit. Bruno's nose dipped low as he sniffed the empty red lunchbox again. Its plastic edges chewed and stained with peanut butter. The evidence team had cleared it, dusted it. But Maya needed more than prints. She needed truth. "Find him, Bruno," she whispered. He snorted once, then started moving. Nose down, tail straight, every step precise. Down the hallway, past the nurse's office, through the cafeteria, where chairs were still stacked and juice boxes littered the floor. Teachers watched silently as the old dog moved like a ghost, following something they couldn't see. He turned sharply toward the maintenance wing. Maya's pulse picked up. "Where are you going, buddy?" Bruno barked once, sharp and clear, then picked up speed. Straight to the custodian's room. He stopped in front of the door and let out another bark. Louder this time. Urgent. Maya's heart slammed into her chest. She knew this feeling. This was the bark, the one that meant he wasn't guessing. He knew. She stepped forward and knocked. No answer. "Daniel Crow?" she called. "It's Officer Maya. Open the door." Silence. Bruno began pawing at the bottom, claws scratching like a warning. Maya tried the handle. Locked. She drew her sidearm. "Maintenance room at Ridgewood. Suspect may be inside. Door locked. Requesting backup now." "Copy. Units en route." She looked at Bruno. "Back up, buddy." He moved aside, still staring at the door. She counted down. 3, 2. She kicked. The first blow rattled the door. Second crack. Third slam, the door burst open. It was dark. Storage shelves. Mop buckets. Tools scattered across the floor. And on the far wall, a jacket. Gray. With a Ridgewood staff lanyard hanging from the hook. Next to it, a pair of latex gloves. Maya's eyes scanned the room fast. No Daniel. But something was off. Bruno padded forward, nose twitching. He sniffed the gloves, then the floor. Then turned, and started barking at the vent near the baseboard. Maya crouched. The metal vent cover had fresh scratches. Bent corners. Someone had opened it. She peered in with her flashlight. The shaft led out, toward the back of the building. He escaped. "Dispatch, this is Officer Maya. Suspect fled maintenance room through vent access. Heading toward rear exit. Need perimeter teams on the east and south sides now." "Affirmative." Units responding. She turned to Bruno. "You were right. Again." He barked once, then ran to the back hallway, tail moving like a signal flare. They raced past old desks and janitor carts, sunlight cutting through dirty windows. And then footsteps. Faint. Running. Maya held her breath and rounded the corner. And there he was, Daniel Crow. No jacket, hoodie half-zipped, sweat pouring down his face as he pushed through the emergency exit. "Stop!" Maya shouted. But he didn't. He bolted into the field behind the gym. Maya followed, but Bruno? He launched, straight into pursuit mode. Paws pounding, teeth bared. And Daniel? He never stood a chance. Bruno caught up fast. Too fast for a man not used to being hunted. The dog leapt. Daniel hit the ground hard, face in the dirt. Bruno's jaws clamped gently, but firmly around his arm. Maya arrived seconds later, panting, gun raised. "Hands behind your back," she ordered. Daniel groaned, defeated. "It was just a joke." Maya cuffed him hard. "You tried to kill a 6-year-old girl. She should have known better," he spat. Bruno growled low and deep. Maya's voice was cold. "You messed with the wrong dog." She stood up, looking down at Daniel as he whimpered. Then turned to Bruno, who sat down beside her, panting. Her heart was still pounding. But the case wasn't over yet, because when they searched Daniel's phone, they found messages to someone else, someone who told him what to do, someone who hadn't been caught. Yet, the building was quiet again. Daniel Crow had been taken into custody, but Maya's gut told her something was still off, something unfinished. Bruno paced near the gym entrance, ears twitching. He wasn't relaxed, not even close. "Show me," she said, and unhooked his lead. Bruno trotted ahead, nose working furiously. He took her down the west hall, past the art room, past the supply closets, then veered sharply left into the locker room behind the gym. It was dark and damp, the kind of room that hadn't been used in years. Cobwebs clung to the ceiling vents. A flickering light buzzed overhead. Bruno sniffed the floor, weaved past an old row of lockers, then stopped. His head turned toward a metal storage bench against the far wall. He growled, "Low, long." Maya stepped closer. "What is it, boy?" She pulled the bench open. Her breath caught in her throat. Inside, stacked neatly like some twisted collection, were lunchboxes. All different colors, different styles, unicorns, superheroes, glitter-covered zippers. Each one had a name written on it. Zoe, Marcus, Lily, Ava, kids, all from the same school. Some of the boxes were still sealed. Others had been opened. Food sat inside, decaying in silence. But the smell, something was off. Maya pulled on gloves and opened one. A sandwich, but not peanut butter sunflower spread. She opened another. Ham and cheese. But the label said, "Dairy allergy, no cheese." Her stomach turned. He hadn't just swapped one lunch. He'd swapped dozens. Experimenting. Watching. Bruno growled again, and this time Maya didn't stop him. He pushed past her to the bottom of the stash and nudged a small pink lunchbox with his nose. Unicorn sticker. Tiny crack in the corner. Emily's. Maya opened it, and her heart nearly stopped. Inside was a sandwich wrapped in foil, and a syringe. Not a medical one. A cooking syringe. Like someone had used it to inject something into the food. She opened the sandwich and saw the filling. Peanut butter. "So that's how he did it," she whispered. "He injected it into their own lunches." She checked the timestamps on the cameras again in her head. Emily had been the only one to go to the nurse's office alone that day. Her lunchbox had been at her cubby. Daniel had used that moment when she was gone to plant the bait. Bruno sat down beside her. His breathing was steady, but his eyes were locked on the stash. He knew what it meant. "This wasn't random," Maya muttered. He was testing, trying to figure out who'd react, who wouldn't. He wanted to see what happened, like it was a game. She checked a small journal tucked into the corner of the bench. A spiral notebook, stained and torn. Inside, names, times, scribbled notes. Zoe, itchy eyes. Marcus, nothing. Try again next week. Emily, high risk. Target confirmed. Maya slammed the book shut, disgusted. He was watching them. She looked at Bruno. And she was next. Bruno gave a small whine, eyes flicking toward the door, like he was asking, "What now?" We build the case, Maya said, and we make sure he never sees another school hallway again. But even as she spoke, her radio buzzed again. Unit 3 to 9. Another lunchbox has been reported. Different school. Same tampering signs. Possible connection. Maya froze. So did Bruno. She looked down at the journal again and noticed something she hadn't before. A second set of initials. Small. At the bottom of the page. JC. This isn't just him, Maya said slowly. There's someone else. And Bruno growled again. Low and steady. Because he knew the hunt wasn't over. Maya slammed the cuffs around Daniel Crow's wrists, her grip firm, knuckles white. He didn't resist. He didn't flinch. He just stared calm, almost smug, as if he'd expected this moment to come all along. Why kids? She asked, her voice tight. Why poison? Why her? Daniel turned his head slowly, eyes dull, empty. Because no one pays attention to lunchboxes, he said softly. Not teachers, not parents, not even the kids themselves. Bruno let out a deep, dangerous growl. Daniel glanced down at the dog. But he did. He paid attention. Maya shoved him toward the cruiser. Yeah, and he's the reason you didn't kill her. Daniel smirked. You stopped one. She froze. What do you mean, one? But he didn't answer, just smiled. As he ducked into the squad car, Maya's stomach twisted. This wasn't just some deranged loner. There was more. There had to be. Bruno circled once, sniffed the air, and sat beside her like a stone statue, watching, waiting. By late afternoon, the media had arrived. Cameras lined the front sidewalk. Microphones waved in the air. News vans parked across the lot, spilling out reporters with urgent voices and wind-blown hair. Retired K-9 saves child. One headline read, School poisoning foiled by bomb dog, said another. Hero pup prevents tragedy. They wanted interviews. They wanted Bruno to pose for pictures. Someone even brought a medal. But Bruno didn't care. He wasn't here for headlines. He wasn't here for applause. He sat quietly near the ambulance, nose against the tire, eyes locked on the red and white doors where Emily had been treated just hours ago. Waiting. Maya knelt beside him. You okay, partner? He blinked slowly, rested his chin on her boot. Me too, she whispered. The praise was loud. The thanks endless. Staff came out to shake Maya's hand. Parents brought flowers. Kids made drawings. The school board issued a public statement. The mayor called personally. But Bruno, he didn't flinch. Because this wasn't over. Not for him. Not for Maya. Later that night, after the last reporter packed up and the yellow tape had been taken down, Maya sat in her precinct office, the journal from the locker room open on her desk. Every line chilled her. Names, symptoms, plans, patterns, and at the very bottom, circled in red ink, JC. Different handwriting. She tapped her pen on the page. There's someone else. Bruno lifted his head from the rug. She turned toward him. You knew, the whole time, this wasn't about just one man. Was it? Bruno stood and walked to the door. Waiting again. Ready again. And Maya? She picked up her badge, clipped it to her vest, and followed. Because now they weren't just chasing a suspect. They were chasing the truth. And Bruno was already on the scent. The next morning, Ridgewood Elementary didn't feel like the same school. Caution tape was gone. Lockers were open. Laughter echoed again in the halls. But something had changed. Bruno was back. Not to investigate, not to track, just to visit. And for the first time since his paws first hit the school's tile floors, he wasn't barking. He wasn't growling. He wasn't pacing. He was wagging. Kids crowded around the old shepherd like he was a celebrity. Hands reached out nervously at first, but when Bruno didn't back away, they came closer. One by one, they pet his back, rubbed his ears. And Bruno, he leaned into it. A boy whispered, Is this the dog from the news? Another added, He saved that girl. I saw it on TV. And then, cutting through the crowd, came the soft sound of tiny sneakers. Emily, fully recovered, cheeks pink again, hair in two fresh braids. She walked straight through the group without a word and knelt beside Bruno. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed her face gently into his fur. And Bruno, he let out a soft huff and licked her hand. No growl, no tension, just calm, just trust. Emily looked up at Maya. He's our hero dog. Maya swallowed the lump in her throat. Yeah, she said, smiling. He really is. The school had arranged a small assembly outside. A podium, a few folding chairs, and a sea of paper signs drawn in crayon. One read, "Thank you, Bruno." Another, "Our furry superhero." The mayor stepped forward with a velvet box in hand. He cleared his throat, looked out over the students, and said, "Today, we honor a hero who doesn't speak with words, but with action and a powerful bark." The crowd laughed softly. "He may be retired," the mayor added, "but clearly, Bruno had one more mission to complete." He opened the box and pulled out a small, shining gold medal with the words, "Service and Bravery," engraved along the edge. The mayor knelt and gently draped the ribbon around Bruno's neck. Bruno blinked slowly, then yawned. The crowd erupted in cheers. A teacher leaned over to Maya. "Does he even know he's being honored?" Maya chuckled. "Probably not." Then glanced at Bruno. "Or maybe he knows exactly what this means." After the assembly, the kids brought out stacks of drawings. Dozens of them. Bruno in a cape. Bruno with a badge. Bruno saving Emily. One showed a lunchbox with a big red X through it, and Bruno standing guard in front. Maya smiled at each one, taping a few to the cruiser windows. By the time the sun dipped behind the trees, Bruno was curled up beneath a maple tree near the playground. Emily sat beside him, head resting gently on his side. Maya watched from a distance, hands in her pockets. And in that moment, she realized something. Bruno didn't just stop a tragedy. He restored something. Safety, joy, innocence. The very things someone tried to take away. And now, he was finally letting go. Not of his duty, but of the weight he'd carried for so long. Because today, Bruno got to be what he hadn't been in years. Loved, celebrated, home. And as the wind rustled the trees above him and Emily whispered something only he could hear, Bruno just wagged his tail. The sky above the station burned gold and pink, the sun dipping low behind the hills. It was quiet now, the kind of quiet that only comes after something big. Something that shook you, changed you, and somehow brought you closer to who you were meant to be. Maya sat on the concrete steps out front, her legs stretched, her boots dusty. Bruno lay beside her, head up, tail flicking gently every few seconds like he was still on duty, still watching, still alert, but for once at peace. Maya looked over at him and exhaled. "I didn't trust you at first," she said quietly. Bruno didn't move. "I mean, you were old, retired, didn't even look at me the first day. Remember that?" He blinked slowly. She smiled a little. "I thought I'd be stuck babysitting you. Just some PR move to keep the hero dog busy." She shook her head. "But you knew. You knew before any of us. That lunchbox. That hallway. Emily." Her voice cracked. Bruno shifted closer. Then gently, without sound, he rested his big, tired head in her lap. Maya looked down, surprised by the weight of it. And then she laughed. Not loud, just a breath through a smile. "You don't even realize what you did, do you?" She brushed her fingers through his fur. "You saved a little girl. You uncovered a predator. You tore down a lie that could have kept hurting more kids." He didn't respond, of course. But he didn't need to, because he'd already said everything in his way. Through barks, through scratches, through relentless tracking. Through refusing to give up. Maya leaned back, looking up at the evening sky. "When I got this job," she murmured, "I thought I had to be the one who knew everything, who was in control, the leader." She looked back down at Bruno. "But you were never trying to lead." She smiled again, voice softer now. "You were teaching me." Bruno let out a quiet breath, warm against her leg. "You're not just my partner," Maya whispered. "You're my mentor." And in that moment, just for a heartbeat, Bruno wagged his tail, slow and steady. The station lights flicked on. Night was coming. But for Maya and Bruno, there was no fear in the dark. Because whatever came next, they'd face it together. One bark, one clue, one step at a time. It had been a quiet week. No calls, no emergencies, no threats, just peaceful walks, extra treats, long naps in the sun. Maya had taken time off, her first break in months. She told the department she needed it. But really, it was for him. Bruno had slowed down a little, moved gentler, slept longer, but still insisted on his daily walk through the park behind the station. Same path, same pace. Nose in the wind, ears perked like always. Like he had more to do, even if he didn't. On that morning, the sky was soft and gray. Clouds drifted low and slow. Maya let him lead. No leash, just space. "Come on, old man," she said with a grin. "Show me where you want to go." Bruno gave a small tail wag and trotted ahead, just a few feet, past the willow trees, past the bench near the pond. The grass was wet. The wind was light. Then he stopped. Maya noticed it right away. He didn't sniff, didn't look around. He just stood still. Then his legs buckled. "Bruno," she called, rushing forward. He collapsed gently, like a tired body giving in to sleep. But Maya saw the truth in his eyes. Something deeper, something final. "No, no, no," she whispered, dropping to her knees beside him. He blinked slowly. His chest rose, but faint, too faint. She called the vet with shaking hands, giving directions through tears. He just went down. "Please, please hurry." She cradled his head in her lap, just like he had done on those station steps a week before. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm here." His eyes fluttered. "You saved her," she said, brushing her hand down his fur. "You saved so many, Bruno." He blinked again, slower. "You saved me." The vet arrived minutes later, rushing from the car with his bag. But when he saw the look in Maya's eyes, he slowed. She shook her head. "He waited," she whispered, voice cracking. "He waited until it was quiet." Bruno gave one last small breath, then just barely a bark. Soft, faint, almost silent. But it was there. His final word. His final call. And then, he closed his eyes. Maya held him close, tears falling onto his fur. The wind moved through the trees, gentle and still. There were no sirens, no chaos, just the sound of the world, pausing, because a hero had passed. Not in the middle of a chase, not in battle, but in peace, after finishing his work, after saving them all. Later that night, Maya sat on the station steps alone. A single collar in her hand. Worn, faded, still warm. She looked out at the stars. "He was more than a dog," she whispered. "He was everything." And the silence that followed? It wasn't empty. It was earned. Ridgewood Elementary looks like any other school. Kids race across the blacktop at recess. Teachers call out reminders. Bells ring. But near the East Wing hallway, the one where a red lunchbox once sat alone, there's a small plaque bolted to the brick wall. It's not flashy, not gold or polished, just simple metal, etched with words that carry weight, in honor of Bruno, who barked at a lunchbox and saved a life. Below it, a carving of a dog's paw, deep, precise, strong. Emily visits the plaque every year. She's older now, a few inches taller, braces on her teeth, a backpack full of harder homework. But every spring, on the same day, she brings a small purple flower and leaves it beneath the plaque. Sometimes she sits there for a while, quiet. Once, a classmate asked her, "Why do you bring that flower?" Emily had smiled, then whispered, "Because he brought me back." She never forgets. Neither does Maya. She's moved up in the department now, still uniformed, still sharp, but no longer on patrol. Now she trains the new generation. Young officers, fresh K-9 units, dogs full of fire and eagerness. Her sessions are strict, focused. But when a dog barks too soon, before the command, before the cue, Some of the recruits roll their eyes. Until Maya speaks. Trust him, she says gently. Walking across the field toward the bark. They pause. She kneels beside the dog, runs her fingers through his fur, then smiles. Bruno barked first, too. Recruits exchange looks. Some don't know the story yet, but the ones who do, they nod. Because it's not just about obedience. It's about instinct. About listening when no one else is. About barking when the world's too quiet. Later that week, a young officer approached Maya after training. Ma'am, he asked, how did you know to trust him that day, before you had proof? She looked out across the field. I didn't, she said. Not at first. Then she turned back, a soft pride in her voice. But he knew, long before I did. And all I had to do was listen. The officer nodded, thoughtful. Behind them, a shepherd pup let out a bark. Hi! Excited. Too early. The trainer moved to scold him, but Maya held up her hand. She walked over, knelt down, and smiled. You heard something, didn't you? She whispered. The pup wagged his tail. Maya closed her eyes for a second, and somewhere deep in her memory, she could almost hear it again. That low, certain bark. The one that started it all. The one that saved a life. And somewhere deep in her memory, she could almost hear it again. That low, certain bark. The one that started it all. The one that saved a life. Because sometimes, all it takes is one bark. And someone willing to trust it. If the story moved you, share it. So Bruno's bark echoes far beyond Ridgewood. Let his legacy remind us all. Never ignore the quiet heroes.